I notice when I first watch the beginning of my live videos later that there's a little bit of a lag between when I originally start talking and what is actually filmed. So I try to pause there just for a moment and see if things even out just a little bit. Um, this is Saturday. Again, it's 1 o'clock, 1-ish o'clock, and um, I'm here to talk about whatever. And you never know what it's going to be. I like to think of this as if in need of a title, which I'm not, um, but I sort of think of it as the non-cast. It's not a podcast. It's not a. It's not anything. It's just a conversation. Conversation. I generally, probably most time, um, have with myself, and then some friends will pop in on the live chat, and we'll just go back and forth. Sometimes funny, sometimes profound, sometimes um, deeply meaningful, and sometimes, just trading information, trading thoughts, trading jokes back and forth. And it's all good. And if something can come from it, who knows what? I don't like to think that I am offering anything, certainly nothing specific. Um, I talk about meditation, I talk about yoga, I talk about spirituality and issues that we could say um, might be that traditional thought of as spirituality. I don't know if I think of it as spirituality. Spirituality seems to divide things into the category of physical and spiritual, and I don't see I don't see a dividing line. We talked about that yesterday. If you show me a dividing line between particles, uh, then I'll believe in separation of spirit to physicality. But we don't see it. We don't see it in science. We don't see it under the most powerful atomic microscope. We don't see any division whatsoever. We see one thing seamlessly appearing as something else. Um, but that doesn't make it two. That's the entire essence of non duality. Advaita literally means not two. Doesn't mean one, it negates not two. Neti neti is the form of self inquiry meditation that is often referred to in non duality. Um, and neti means not this. So, in this form of meditation, in this form of self inquiry, we are literally saying, not this, not that. Whatever comes to mind, a particular thought. This isn't reality. It's a thought about reality. This word, this sentence, this paragraph is not reality. It's a description of reality. Um, my body, my body is a fiction of reality. It's not solid. It appears to be solid. It acts solid. I'm certainly glad it does. Hard to do burpees with a non-solid body. Um, although, with that providing less gravity, might be a little bit easier. Might have been 302 six counts yesterday versus 301 six counts. I didn't truly bother to keep track of my Navy SEALs today. Um, I started out thinking in terms of 4 reps per minute and saving up the remainder time in each minute, which I think I ended up having like 4 minutes saved up. So I might have gotten 105, 104. But I lost track. So who knows? Doesn't matter. When I think in terms of the neti neti meditation and then burpees comes to mind, not that. Burpees aren't the answer. They're a lot of fun to do though, in a weird way. Um, what we come down to is dismissing everything. that's not the end of the meditation. What we come down to is reality itself is emptiness. And yet, once we reach that emptiness, we start building back up. So we've gotten to the end, not this, not this, not this, nothing. And then what? Then we have this, and this, and this. Then we put the body back into the equation. Then we put burpees back into the equation. Then we put whatever back in the equation, because it all belongs within reality. It is a solid appearing state of nothingness. Solid appearing. But that doesn't make it necessarily solid. However, when we stub our toe on a cabinet in the middle of the night, when the Zen master hits us with his sandal or his Zen stick, then we realize that nothing has the reality of something. Sometimes something heavy. Sometimes something as solid as a counter in the middle of the night as our toe hits it. So we learn not to make those distinctions, or when we do, not to take them so seriously, or when we do, not to take our seriousness so seriously. That was a lot of S's for me to get out in one sentence without messing up. So another way of doing that self-inquiry, of doing a similar self-inquiry, is Douglas Harding's Headless Experiments. Everyone's heard me talk about him. Everyone who's ever heard me talk has heard me talk about Douglas Harding and the Headless Experiments. Simply point. Point at anything solid. Point at the floor. Point at your desk. Point at my desktop. Point at the camera. Somewhere I'll get that finger out. There we go. And we see objects, distinct, having a shape, having an appearance, having an edge, having an outline, being object, what's the word I'm looking for? Being an object, being an item, being a thing, possessing thingness, possessing isness. If we continue pointing and we get to our body, we see that our body too is a thing, an object, an item. Hey, Barefoot. Yeah, about the Baker's cyst. If Mocha McCarty pops up, being a trained massage therapist, she might have some more insight into a Baker's cyst. If it's small and it's non-painful, there's really nothing to drain. No sense getting it removed. I would imagine you modify your... I've known people who've run with them for years, and for them, it's just it's not painful. It's just something on their body. Runners have a long list of things that they ignore. It's just another thing that they ignore. Some, it's gotten to the point where it was painful and they had it drained. Caused by tight quads and calves. I've always heard it was overuse and issues with the knee, that the fluid, for whatever reason, fluid is not draining clearly from the knee. But it has to go out somewhere. So it forms a cyst behind the knee. Was the description that I heard from others, in casual conversations, going on a long run, and we all trade our aches and pains stories back and forth, and someone would say, yeah, I have a Baker's cyst, and, this is how it happens. But it was always likened towards a non-painful knee issue. You could always try using knee wraps. See if that provides any. If anything, it will provide some compression that might be helpful. But I think you're onto something with the modification. Sprints go, a little bit of sprints go a long way. So for me, whenever I did speed work, it was once a week. Only time I ever injured myself running, and actually almost through any um, athletic issue, was doing a fartlek, a speed session. Um, the day after I did deadlifts, and I was on a allergy med that actually dehydrates you, and it was that combination of all that coming together, and I had issues with my hamstring. Yeah, it all ties together. Um, Quad and calf can pull on the knee, um, and that the mastoid in the neck can throw out the hip. So many, so many issues in one part of the body, and then we have the symptom in an entirely other part of the body, and we never put those two together until later. Um, but I think probably modifying your workout, I would imagine, disappear in just a little bit of time. Um, I do think anything more than one sprint session per week is overkill. Uh, you might be able to get away with it um, in your early 20s. You know, heck, all the way up until my 30s, I seem to recover from everything quickly. Any hard effort, and I'd be good to go. Um, oh, another thing, maybe massage, um, specifically on that point, but non-specifically around the quads, um, the hips, the lower back, the calves, of course. Either that or um, getting out the foam roller and doing some foam rolling on your own. But of course, an actual massage, a therapist will get right to those points where you really, really need it and get it much deeper than we can do with the foam roller. Although I'm a big believer in the foam roller, I don't do it nearly um, as often as I should. It really should be daily, probably. Maybe some work with some bands, getting some extra stretching in some of the whatever places that you feel particularly tight. Um, Not a bad idea to ditch the resistance sprints for a while, uh, or if you feel the need, lighten it up maybe. Um, oh, um, as you said, um, treadmill walk backwards. I don't know why, but I'm a firm believer that backwards walking fixes everything. Anytime I ever start feeling issues with shin splints, um, anytime my knees bother me, anytime my back feels off, backward walking just seems to um, fix me up right away. Backwards walking and the Qigong wall squat has me feeling pretty good right now. Um, Not that my back still doesn't get a little sore, but after 3 sessions per day, 3 to 5 reps of doing the Qigong wall squats, everything's loose, everything's feeling good, everything's feeling strong. Um, yeah, I miss having a treadmill. I had one uh, quite a few years. Convenient, and you can just do a whole lot of stuff on it. You can get hill work in, you can get backwards hill walking in, um, and you don't have to worry about balance. You got the handrails if necessary. Nothing's going to pop up. There's not going to be a log behind you. There's not going to be a rock. You're not going to trip over newspaper. Um, Beaufort says, Rev and I have been discussing how much training focus should be on pre and rehab. My entire day is pre and rehab training surrounding my burpees or my body weight training. Um, when we talk about warming up, um, uh, Yeah, Ed, I think you and Rev are probably, I don't know how old Rev is. Um, I'm going to guess that I'm a good 15 years older than both of you guys. Um, and my body is had a lot of banging around through the years, a lot of abuse in a good way and a lot of abuse in a not so good way. Well, I wouldn't have guessed Rev was around 45. Um, so yeah, I'm 13 years older, thereabouts. Um, both you guys um, are. I was 45 when I started ultra running. Just about, yeah, just about 45. It took me 10 years before I could get my first 100 mile. 43. So I'm, yeah, 15, as I was saying. 15 years older than you. And yet, I probably look as if I'm 20 plus years older than you. Uh, aging is not for the faint of hearted. I say most of that in jest because, um, you know, I train every single day. I'm not too far away from 600 days of burpees every day. And generally speaking, it's high rep burpees every single day, um, and other stuff as well. Plus walking and running every day and yoga every day. That's what I mean that when I say that my entire day is rehab and prehab. That um, within an hour of being up after I've meditated, I'm doing my first round of yoga. And then I have my first round of joint mobility um, before. Well, I appreciate you not thinking that I look 20 plus years older than you. But, um, I don't have any special filter on my camera. If I did, um, I would definitely cheat. If I had a filter, the type of filter I need is an ab filter. It doesn't need to make me look younger, but when you put this special filter on, it gives you an automatic six pack just by having that filter on. Or maybe a ponytail filter. I could get my ponytail back and have it filled in completely like it was in my 20s. But yeah, I have my first round of yoga. I have my first round of joint mobility before I go out for my walk. Um, Good hair and a tan, we'd look younger. Yeah, probably. Although years of being fair skinned and pursuing a tan um, has definitely given me some unappreciated wrinkles, age spots, and so far one bout of skin cancer, which I'm not happy about. Um, so going back in time, I would have embraced my fair skin features a little more kind-heartedly and not worry about it. Um, Easier at the time to, uh, you know, pick up girls on the beach when you have a tan, but it's not worth the price that you pay later in life. Um, I have some heavily tanned older friends who are, it's not doing them well right now. And yet they still go out and they pursue um, that deep, deep tan. Um, so, yep, I have my first walk of the day before the sun comes up. And it's a fast power walk. It's also there to get that first light to the eyes that I talk about, as well as getting a little bit of fasted cardio. And then I have more joint mobility, a little more of a warm up, bands and stuff. And then I do my workout. And then I have a cool down. I'm I'm doing a little more extensive cooldown after listening to Duncan Walsh talk about how important it is. It's the one thing almost everyone skips, cooling down. I've already put in the hard work. I've already warmed up. Why? Why do it? But he, in a 3-minute video, maybe more, he really explains the importance of it. My neighbors, Beverwood says maybe your neighbors think you're a vampire before first light. They think a lot of things about me. Adding vampire to the list would only be an improvement, probably. They definitely think I'm weird, especially the outside training that I used to do. We used to do strongman workouts, pushing cars, dragging tires, farmers walks, overhead walks, all kinds of weird stuff. Litnova sprints, which I got from Coach Stan John. We do a front squat, lightweight, 5 reps, toss the bar, and then you sprint. It is a tough movement. Yeah, we used to do that all outside in front of my house. Back in 5. All right, I'll be here. Most of my talks have been probably averaging 40 minutes. So we're 20 minutes in, 21 minutes in. I'm just getting warmed up. My arthritic jaw, which I've mentioned before, an issue due to age. Age, a missing tooth, put my jaw out of alignment, and issues have come forth, fairly painful. And so it takes me a good 20 minutes of talking before I'm warmed up, and things are moving nice. So here we are at the halfway point or thereabouts. It's been a nice conversation about training and that rehab and prehab. For me, everything is prehab. Doing the little things now to keep me doing the big things later. And again, it's working with the bands, getting that full mobility. Joint mobility. And joint mobility is just simply working a joint through a full range of motion and getting that synovial fluid. As we get older, synovial fluid begins to dry up a bit. We don't get it running through the joints a bit, and that's when we get arthritis and other issues. So when we do things to keep that synovial fluid moving, and again, it's just, here's my hand, a circle. I'm increasing the amount of synovial fluid going through the wrist, going through that joint, keeping it younger, keeping it healthy, keeping it more fluid, keeping arthritis at bay. Do that with your shoulders, do that with your neck, do that with, hey, Reverend, how are you? 45. And you don't look a day over 30, honestly. And nowadays, you're looking a lean and fit 30. I came across a video of you from a year ago, and it was amazing the results that you've achieved in a short amount of time. We often think of a year being, a fair amount of time, but to affect that big of a change, a year isn't that much, honestly. So big salute and hats off. Reverend Terminator mentions good hair and a tan. Yes. I have no hair and not a tan. I'm on a losing streak. The good news is I will not get any balder. This is it. I've hit my balding apex. So I've peaked. And there's no downhill. Berthoud is saying that a tan, Reverend Terminator is in Norway. A tan must be rare in Norway. Aren't there periods of longer sunlight in Norway? I could be mistaken. Not getting any balder, says Reverend. That is good news. It certainly is. I always had long hair since a kid. and it was long and blonde. I known for having long blonde hair. You would think balding would have been an issue, that I would look in the mirror and think, why is this happening to me? But honestly, when it was time to shave my head, I shaved my head. I kept it that way. Uh, During COVID, I decided to grow out the ponytail just to, as David Crosby said, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, let my freak flag fly. It was identity politics. You know, you can tell. Um, you can tell I'm a hippie by holding on to that little strand of hair on the back of my head. Um, Barefoot says that they get spray tans in in Norway, um, which is better than sitting in a tanning booth. Um, the things people do for appearance, amazing. I can understand it. Everyone wants to be pleasing with their looks, um, but it's not worth the price that you pay. That's the wonderful thing with the headless experiment is you realize that you are trading faces with a person in front of you. You don't see your face. You only have hearsay. You have opinions. You have a reflection. You have photographs, but you don't see your actual face. You've traded faces with the person in front of you. Intimate trade of my emptiness for your somethingness. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. We see that every day in how we look. We can give up any hope of appearances and we can go by who we truly are. The face that we present the world isn't this, it's here, it's in the heart, it's a reflection of who we are. Um, I'm losing track of some of the comments. Reverend Terminator says, we've seen your old WWE looking photo when you were younger. I went through several phases. I went through a bulked up, long hair, Hulk Hoganish. I hit 220 pounds. Again, things that we do. I gained all that weight, bulk. I lost my abs so that I could, hey, the Jay Jordan, how are you? I appreciate you sharing me out. It means a lot. And because of you, um, I have hit a high of 280 subscribers, who must now be very disappointed. What have I gotten myself into? So to get up to 220 pounds so I could bench 340, not a good bench, especially at that weight. But I wanted to bench over 300. It was a big deal for me. I wanted to compete. And I realized that I was in mid to average as far as powerlifting. Gym strong, one of the strongest guys in my little gym. But in the big picture, nothing. Why put my health, raising my cholesterol, raising my blood pressure, carrying extra weight, straining my heart so I could bench 340? It was ridiculous. So I systematically lost the weight fairly quickly. I'm getting myself lean again. Probably the best weight for me ever was about 170. Lean, just enough muscle. My hair alone gave me an additional 10 pounds. 160 pounds, 10 pounds of hair back in the good old days. It's a decent weight, but again, I thought of getting on the platform. I did some local bench press competitions, and even local small competitions. I was I didn't even place. Let's say we had 20 people in my weight class, I would be 14. Stronger than some, but not close to being as strong as others. So, again, it wasn't worth carrying that weight. Yeah, I have a smaller frame. Um, I'm about 5'9", so I'm in my mid 140s right now, up and down. But I, at one time, I wanted to bodybuild, and let's see, because I'm having a hard time seeing the name Kal Kaltera. I'm probably getting that wrong, and I apologize. Offering me a good night, and thank you very much. Have a good night to you as well, my friend. Um, Barefoot says bench press is a strange lift, no real world analog. Yeah, very. It used to be in the golden era. Overhead press was the standard for upper body strength. You know, Nobody said how much can you bench, how much can you put over your head. It still is. It's a more athletic movement. Clean and press, clean press front squat. You've covered everything right there. Um, Reverend Terminator says if you lie on a heavy woman and need to lift her off, yes, I could see that. Um, First, I would ask her to help me if she could scoot up a bit, and then, if necessary, I guess. Um, it's interesting to see people like Gus, um, Osiris, Derek, who are now doing some bench press in their training, and how strong. Now, Derek trains bench regularly. Gus just comes out and benches, and he's got a pretty strong bench. And if he did it regularly and dialed in that technique, his training has given him a decent bench without even benching. Um, let's see. Reverend said, yeah, but strong men usually lifting overhead and not bench movement. Exactly. That was the standard. How much could you put over your head? Pressing, jerk, snatch. They had to drop the press. I think 72 was the last year in the Olympics because the back extension had gotten so ridiculous that it was almost like a standing bench press. Too much front delt. Yeah. For the bench or for the overhead press. Um, the only time I've ever had issues with my front delts have been from benching. And not even from incline benching, which you would think I would. Maybe it's because I use less weight with inclines. Reverend says he also grew up with the how much can you bench. I still hear that. People would say, oh, you work out. How much can you bench? Which is weird. Oh, you do burpees. How much can you bench? That's the funny thing with running. If I say I run marathons, people would always say, what's your fastest time? Or what's your fastest 5K or 10K or half marathon? Probably less than a handful of people have ever asked me, what's my fastest 100-mile time? What's my fastest 50-mile time? They're just impressed, wow, you ran 50, you ran 100. It's just perspective, that how we put that sort of romance into the bench press. It's the standard. If you lift, how much can you bench? I spent my last probably 10 years lifting without benching once, and being in decent shape, being pretty big, Olympic lifting, and yet people would still say, how much can you bench? Let's see. We grew up with Arnold as the ultimate man in pop culture. Yes, definitely. Even, for me, being older, in the 70s, he was still competing. The only bodybuilder that most people knew. I bought all the magazines in the 70s. I still have them laying around my house. And Arnold was just so heavily featured. Never one of my favorite bodybuilders. In the 70s, I really liked Robbie Robinson. I really liked Mike Mentzer. Um, and Arnold in the 80s and the 90s, he became that movie icon for sure. And he's grown to be lots of mistakes. If I lived in California, I wouldn't have voted for him as governor. But he's very environmentally conscious. He wants gun control. He's grown to be a very conscientious, if I got that right, person, which not all people do. You know, some people just grow old without affecting any true interchange, without any actual transformation. It's odd. Maybe it's because of the fact that his body lessened over time. Not as big, not as strong, some health issues, that he was able to put some of that aside and become a better person on the inside. Maybe it had to do with his past misbehavior, cheating on his wife, losing parts of his family. That, you know, who knows what it is that triggers. Hey, Mocha. Who knows what it is that triggers that type of response in us? For me, it's almost always been there, an urge to explore a different side of reality since a young age. Getting yoga books when I was 9 and 10, reading Carlos Castaneda in my early teens, meditating. Barefoot says he's a smart guy. Once the prime focus had to leave his body again, his mind opened up. Yeah, I agree 100%. And, again, who knows what that trigger point is? Hey, Mocha, well, I have you here. As a massage therapist, what do you know? I should have expected the ho there, followed by a hey there. What do you know of Baker's cyst? And would massage help? Specifically, I guess, massage in the knee, quad area behind the knee, or if, overall is a better option. If you do know anything, I thought as a massage therapist, you might have dealt with it before. And if so, if you could offer some professional advice to Barefoot Burpees. And Reverend Terminator, have you, I guess, officially online met Mocha? Mocha has watched your videos. I've shared some of the ones that you kindly done of me. Much appreciated. And she appreciated them as well. Found the humor and the artistry. That's a rare combination to combine those two in such a meaningful, awesome way. Not only not everyone can do that, not everyone would think of doing that. And to me, that's even more key. Oh, Mocha, I was you're welcome, Reverend. I was asking you about Baker's cyst as a massage therapist. If you know anything of Baker's cyst, if you treated one through your massage therapy work, or knew of someone who came in with an issue and wanted that specifically worked around. I didn't know if you would have any input on that, and if you do, if you could offer it to Barefoot Burpees. We both would appreciate it, and it'd be a good thing to get out there. Barefoot. And Reverend Mocha is a professional massage therapist, retired from the Air Force as well. She says no, she has not done anything with a Baker's cyst. Well, you would think in 18 years, somebody might. I would hear people all the time, in a group run, I'm working around a Baker's cyst issue, or something along those lines. But again, most people, it was something that they worked through. I think I recall only less than a handful of runners ever say they had it drained. And these were the ones who were really good front of the pack runners. For me, I never got anything. I never got anything treated. It wasn't that important to me to go from, mid pack to front of the mid pack. Not necessarily true. In some races I got a little more. I could get competitive for my age group, to a certain extent. Not super competitive, but if I saw somebody who looked about my age getting ready to pass me in a race, I might step it up just a little bit. I wonder if it's more common now with the advent of CrossFit style training, the high rep squat motion, the high rep squats to running, that type of stuff. I knew of people who would literally have the chiropractor on speed dial for the day after a CrossFit workout. If your training inhibits your lifestyle, then you are not what if he had a spray tan, Eric? Let him go. You know what? I think the spray tan, because of the coating, would provide a little bit of aerodynamic advantage, allowing him to cut through the wind a little easier. So I'd have to work extra hard. I can't to me, that's cheating. I can't let somebody cheat and beat me like that. So yeah, I'd step it up. Somebody with a spray tan tries to pass me in a race, regardless of how old they are, I'm stepping it up. I'm taking them down. I'm putting them at the back of the pack. That's for sure. So sorry that we, neither Mocha nor I could give you too much information on the Baker's cyst, but I think from what you described above, our conversation earlier, that you're on the right track. Brefer says, take them down for the naturals. Exactly. I'm not cheating. I'm not using any, let's see. Oh, you mean I'm not sure I can pronounce that word, Mocha. Popliteus cyst. It's filled with fluid. Mocha's throwing out all the big words that I can't even read right now. My guess is Mocha is saying, yes, she does know what it is, but I gave it a different name. We gave it a different name, and that massage would be helpful. If you popliteal, poplet, that's okay. I'll have to make sure it's the same thing. I always say this. I sit here, I have this conversation in front of my desktop. I have, you know what? I put POP, and the first thing that came up, popliteal cyst, and it is considered a Baker's cyst. So, Barefoot, if you look above, I said it correctly once. I said it about 16 times. So once out of 16 is not a great average on pronunciation. I'm just happy that I said pronunciation okay. Yep, if you look, Barefoot, if you look above, you'll see what Mocha said about it. And it is the same. Popliteal. I already messed it up. So it is right there, a Baker's cyst. This is from Google, and it's the National Health in UK. So a Baker's cyst, also called a popliteal cyst, is a fluid-filled swelling that develops at the back of the knee. It's caused when the tissue behind the knee joint becomes swollen and inflamed. Swollen and inflamed, to me, seems what Mocha was saying, that massage would help. You know, if something is swollen and inflamed, then massage will get the fluid moving. Mocha is still trying to coach me to say it correctly. So focus. Mocha is very precise in her grammar. And she demands me to be very precise in my grammar. However, it is yesterday I had a long conversation about Sisyphus rolling the stone all the way up, only to have it roll all the way back down. Or Cervantes, chasing windmills. At this point, almost 22 years in a relationship, Mocha should realize that it is a Sisyphus task to get me to pronounce something correctly more than once. And yet, she persists. To her credit, believing that my lips actually work in that specific way to get me to pronounce something correctly. So let's see, where have we left off here? You could also use a tennis ball or some type of ball. I don't know if you have lacrosse balls in the UK, which is what I use, and you go around the kneecap, and that might help. It's so weird thinking of a symptom appearing in the back of the knee as a result of something that is going on in the front of the knee. Mocha says you just don't want to say it correctly. Not true. Not wanting to and not being able to. Two different things. Barefoot says, yeah, we have the balls, specifically the lacrosse balls. No one doubts the testicular fortitude of those in Great Britain. For sure, certainly. Or anywhere in Europe, for that matter. Reverend, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you had a chance to say hi to Mocha. I know she's been here when you have popped in, but this is the first chance for some interaction, which is always good, always appreciated. I'm actually going to cut things short in 2 or 3 minutes. Actually, not cut things short, but end things way before we hit that hour mark. Barefoot says he's got a fair bit of physio stuff, lacrosse, peanut, voodoo band. The gua sha, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I don't have, I want to get. I was reading about that for facial massage. I've been doing face yoga. I've offered a glimpse of my vanity. I've pulled down the shade, and I'm giving everyone. I am not the laid-back yogi that I put out there and that I appear to be. Very vain, arrogant, um, all about looks, my own looks. I don't care about how anyone else looks. All about my own look. Um, which is why I'm going to get that ab filter that you can put on your camera that gives you a six-pack just by clicking on it. Um, so Mocha says he just wants to feel pretty, but he is pretty. I appreciate hearing that. Nothing wrong with feeling pretty, that's for sure. So now I have Barefoot and Mocha helping me with the correct pronunciation. As long as I appreciate all the help, as long as they both realize the Sisyphusian task. Sisyphus is one of my favorite literary characters to talk about, by the way. Talked about him yesterday and the day before. Probably will come up fairly often, should come up fairly often. Talked about him with Yoga Uncle yesterday, and being able to have that sense of completion in the task without worrying, in the moment, without worrying about anything. Anyway, Burford says Gawa Shah. Gawa Shah. I think it's pronounced. You know, I've heard it on YouTube because I looked at the videos as I was trying to decide if I wanted to get one. And it seems a very worthwhile object to have, especially for the getting the lymph node fluid in the face moving. And something I may invest in. I've been doing some dry brushing, which is supposed to help the lymph nodes empty, drain, keep things healthy. And I think it's been helpful. Barefoot says, face yoga is something I do sometimes. It's a worthwhile thing to do. We neglect the facial muscles. You know, of course, it's work, frowning, smiling, squinting, whatever, but a focused session of just working on the facial muscles is very important for overall health as well. We don't realize that any weak point, and I'm not saying that in the no weakness or whatever, but any weak point in any structure has an impact on the overall. We're only as strong as the weakest link. So if you just do anything, and Mocha says in circulation, and Burford says, but I do more trigger point massage, especially the neck. I do tapping from 30 seconds, working the lymph nodes, tapping down the jawline, tapping through the eyes, down the face, jawline, under the jaw, and then the neck, getting everything down. And a suggestion from Mocha with the dry brushing is you bring it in the direction of the heart. So you get the heart helping to circulate the drainage from the lymph nodes. Little things. Knees are the weak link in humans for sure. Not to put faith into this discussion, but what was God thinking when he created knee joints? Did he think we really needed that weakness? That by the age of 50-something, we're not going to be able to outrun the tigers anymore. We're not going to be able to outrun the saber-tooth or the Neanderthals. That, a good kick to the knee joint and we're out of the game for good. What I do, Mocha says upward motion on the neck and the face. I've seen two things. The upward motion, for sure, but also going away towards the ear and then down through the jawline to get it flowing towards here, whatever here is called. Um, we're meant to be done by 50. Yeah, by 50, by all rights, we should have been eaten by the saber-tooth. We should have been stomped on by the mastodon. The Neanderthals should have taken us out. But speaking of persisting, we persist. Here we are. Mocha says that's for circulation. Yep, circulation and the lymph node. For appearance, you had said you go up, away from defying gravity. Gravity wants to pull the face downwards, which is not good. Mocha says, well, Barefoot says we're just bits and pieces cobbled together by evolution. True. No proper design, you know. God needed a blueprint. He could have done better. And again, you know, I'm not bringing any faith into here. Mocha says she's, oh crap, she's 2 years past her expiration date, being 52. You're 52, but you look as if you're in your 30s. You were 32, 31 when I met you. And physically, you look to have aged a year. And in that same amount of time, I have aged 40, probably. Barefoot says, Mocha, that you've been eaten by a tiger 2 years ago. Yeah. I think that's why we carried that gene of destruction against nature. Because we know that if given an opportunity, evolution will bring back the mastodon, bring back the saber-toothed tiger, and we're back at square one. So we're destroying the natural habitat. Our environmental footprint is for self-preservation. Sadly, for the rest of the planet. All right. So now I have to think of a title for this live talk. Face yoga, saber-toothed tigers, and mastodons. And the aging body. Maybe throw Neanderthals in there as well. We'll see. We'll see what I can come up with. Send me a message if you got a better title. Lucas says she hopes she didn't give the tiger heartburn or anything. So now I am tiger poo now. Well, you know, I didn't want to say anything. At least you've got cool stripes. See, that's true. There's a plus side to everything. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to end the session. Coming up on 58:30, I do my best to wrap things up in an hour or less. Some days I'm successful, some days I'm not. Barefoot says you can avoid crowds or they avoid you. True. Barefoot, thank you. Appreciate you joining in. Think about the massage with the lacrosse balls, and maybe really with a professional massage therapist. Might be able to get some fluid circulating, which would, at the very least, keep the cyst from getting bigger. Something to consider, and keep me posted on how it's going. Thanks for joining in. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, Mocha, as always. Not only do I appreciate your company, Barefoot says, I'll get stuck in. I don't trust others, especially doctors. Hard to say I blame you. I've had my own issues with doctors recently, my primary care physician. But Mocha says, look for a massage therapist specializing in lymph node drainage. So maybe, a massage therapist, um, they probably don't believe in doctors either, um, because not to the degree, that others. Um, so they may prove more helpful. Um, Going to tell the body to drain itself. Personally, I think that's a good idea, and I believe it. Um, I see no reason why the body shouldn't respond to what we told it to do. Um, Keep me posted on how that's working. The crossball, the foam rolling, the bands. Uh, I do believe bands fix almost everything. It seems. Um, Qigong, Qigong and yoga. I also believe Mocha will vouch for me here. I believe that sun salutation will fix everything. Um, it's that or the tiger's dinner. That's true. We got to keep moving. A lesson I got from my father, even at the age of 93. Keep moving. The end's going to be the end, no matter what. But keep moving until the end. Um, well drained before the tiger dinner. So, all right, guys. With that, that's actually a good title, Mocha. Well drained before the tiger. Well drained um, before tiger's dinner, or barefoots. It's that or the tiger's dinner. Both are good. Let me think about how I'm gonna phrase this. All right, guys. I missed my point. Almost 2 minutes past the hour mark. Um, I will see you guys later. Cutting out now. It's time for my afternoon breathwork and meditation session. See you guys. Sisters. Yeah, that is that is pretty sick. Um, I will see you guys tomorrow for burpees and again in the afternoon for some talking. Take care, guys.